Hey everybody, just Jesse here, welcoming you back into my garage, my man cave, for another day of accountability. I hope you guys are doing well. Today is Friday, August 21st. I read through Isaiah chapter 58 today. It was a really good read, and it talks about how leadership must reflect God's values and ethics. So, in this chapter, they talk about fasting, and how many of us have used that practice of fasting at some point in our lives. I know that whether it be for spiritual enlightenment or just a way to beat the pounds, the practice of fasting goes deeper than just going without food. So God says that He delights not in His people going without some daily staples, but loosing the chains of injustice and undoing the cords of the yoke of those that have been oppressed. And that's what verse 6 says. In verse 6, I'll read it to you, says, "It is not this kind of fasting I have chosen to loose the chains of injustice and untie the cords of the yoke, to set the oppressed free and even break every yoke." That speaks wonders for what we're supposed to do in life. It really, it makes it to where as leaders, we would have to learn from those words. God's calling us to live life from His values and His ethics. Fasting is good and all, but we just don't do it enough these days. It isn't a common practice in our lives. While we fast, when we do, continuing to fast, while harboring destructive thoughts and oppressive attitudes, really doesn't reflect godly leadership. And I know not everybody has those destructive thoughts and oppressive attitudes 24 hours a day, but the fact that we still have them in general, and we still want to claim that we are fasting and we are godly, those are things that we need to really look at before we put that out on the table. Like, we don't need to go out and boast about how great we're doing and whatever. We're called to be the meek and the mild, and we're called to be the strong at the same time, but we're not called to go out and be boastful like that. So when we look at ethics, ethics supplies the foundation for our values, and values supply the power that drives our leadership. Well, let's consider what God expects from that fasted life. There are 5 different things. The first thing, God expects us to liberate those who are oppressed. That's in verse 6. And I read that to you before, and I'll just read this section where it says that it is not this kind of fasting that I have chosen to loose the chains of injustice and untie the cords of the yoke, to set the oppressed free and break every yoke. Verse 6 says that we are to liberate those who are oppressed. Now, verse 7 has the next 3 to look at. And verse 7 says, it is not to share your food with the hungry and provide the poor wanderer with shelter, when you seek the naked to clothe them, and not to turn away from your own flesh and blood. Verse 7 and those next 3 are share resources with the needy, provide shelter to the homeless, and supply clothing to the naked. Now, God also expects us to stop accusing and judging others. And if you want to know where that's at, it's in verse 9, and I'll read that one to you. And it says, Then you will call, and the Lord will answer. You will cry for help, and He will say, Here I am. If you do away with the yoke of oppression, with the pointing of finger and malicious talk, so God's going to come and show up whenever we stop pointing fingers at people and stop just talking crap on people. We're not supposed to be judging, and we're not supposed to be accusing. So in order to be who God really intends us to be as leaders in life, we have to follow those 5 things. Now, you may not think that there's a whole lot of, we could probably run a list of hundreds of thousands of different things that we should be to be better leaders. But really, when you come down to it, liberate those who are oppressed, share resources with the needy, provide shelter to the homeless, supply clothing to the naked, stop accusing and judging others. That's gonna go so much further in life than whatever the world's telling you, is the next fad, and how to be the next best person, and how to be everybody's best friend. It gives all of us something to work on. It gives all of us something to strive for. So thanks for hanging out with me. I hope that Isaiah 58 really spoke to you like it did to me. And if it did, and you want to share it with your group of people, your inner circle, by all means, go ahead and hit that share button. If you like what I talked about today and you want to throw the thumbs up at me, definitely love to see that. I always smile when I see the thumbs go up. And you can always feel free to comment, like, subscribe. For those that are coming across this video and you don't know what I'm about, my videos are my way of staying accountable to reading God's Word daily. And the videos are just what I've learned through reading what I read that day. So if you like what I'm doing here and you want to follow and you want to know more, by all means, go ahead, hit that subscribe button. And if you want to get my videos every day when I post them, hit the bell notification button in the top corner. Thanks again, guys. I hope you guys are always being safe, that you're going and growing, and that God blesses you.